Memento Mori Stories, a podcast that reminds us that we will die and that celebrates the deeply personal and sometimes whimsical ways we create to remember death and cherish life. How we bridge the gap, the sometimes deep, painful, and soul-searching gap between life and death. How we remember those we have loved, the things we keep, the phrases we use, the foods we prepare, the places we hold dear. This is your invitation to listen generously to one such story. A Memento Mori story.
I am someone who has always loved nature, even as a child. And as an adult, I particularly have become interested in gardening and plants and trees, etc. And one of the trees that I really love are birch trees. The bark peels off of them, and they're delicate, elegant clusters of trees. And one of the reasons that birch trees appeal to me is that they remind me of my grandmother DeMers, my father's mother, who in her apartment had 2 pictures of birch trees. I think they were photographs, and I actually have those pictures. There is a house on a street near my street that I drive on often that has beautiful birch trees planted in the front yard. So every time I drive past these birch trees, I think of my grandmother DeMers. She lived about a mile from our house in an apartment building that had a swimming pool, and I could walk to see her, and we would have special sleepovers. During those sleepovers, we had, kind of what I now think of as rituals, although at the time they were just things we did together. So one of them was we would have toast with butter and bananas sliced on top of them. We would watch a couple TV shows together. One of them was Jeopardy, and the other was Password. And then the other thing I was allowed to do was I was allowed to dress up in her nightgowns and her robes, and she had very pretty slippers. And I would dress up and I would put on her jewelry. She was very important. She was my grandmother that lived near us. My other grandmother was far away, and I got to see her on a regular basis. Birch trees have a special resonance because of this connection to my grandmother. So not only do I like them because they're pretty, and not only do I like them because they're part of the natural world, but I like them because they remind me of that relationship and that connection to my history. My grandmother's been gone for over 30 years now, but I remember her on a regular basis when I see birch trees. In my mind, there is no end to our existence. I'm a Christian minister, so Psalm 139 is one that I love, and it says that, God knit us together in our mother's wombs and knew all our days before they even existed. So I feel like even before we exist physically, we exist as a being, a soul, a spirit, whatever you want to call it. Then we live, and then we die. But I don't believe that death is the end of life. I believe it's a boundary between different kinds of life. Those things that remind us of our ancestors remind us of the connectedness of life, that it's like a thread running through everything that connects everything. And I hope we are good stewards of our earth, because there are these natural things in the world that connect us to our ancestors into the future, and I hope that they continue.
Thanks for listening. Compassion and listening are so valuable in bringing healing to our lives after loss. So, how about you? Do you have a story about something that reminds you of a special someone, a beloved pet, an event, or a place that brings comfort? Please contact Memento Mori Stories through this podcast or our Facebook or Instagram pages. I would love to hear from you.